75th Annual Spill.com Best of Worst of Awards. Starring Leon, Cyrus, and the co-host 3000.
This is an award show?
I think you'd be asking, like, where did the 75 come from?
Yeah.
We recorded this 74 times. Didn't get it right.
75.
I've seen you guys for the past, 3 weeks with not a single goddamn break, so it feels like 75 years.
It does. That's funny because you were gone for a week, and I probably still feel like you didn't leave at all.
I know. We were still in your mind.
I know.
Are we supposed to start off with a big dance number celebrating the history of Hollywood and this year's nominees?
Yes, we are.
Go for it.
Alan,
Yeah.
give us a little of that old soft shoe.
A little shuffle off the buffalo.
Yeah. Help him out, Cyrus. Come on.
Of course, you bring up a good point. I mean, we are seeing each other so much, it makes sense for us to just move in together and save on the rent at this point.
Really?
Yeah.
You better be paying us a lot for that reality show is all I can
I know.
say.
I think it would save a lot on got, but who would pay the funeral bills?
Yeah, I know. It's going to end up being an episode of Cops. I don't know. I don't know.
Who would be the last man standing?
I'm going to be rolling out of here covered in flour.
Yeah. Yes, this is an award show, co-host. I'm glad you asked. We are awarding 2011 their films to come out of that time with insults and compliments in the form of our worst of list and our best of list.
But we never have anything but nice things to say about films.
What website have you been on this whole time? Not here. But
This is absolutely the last day we can do this because the films of 2011, like their last bit of relevancy is the Oscars, and that ended yesterday.
Yeah, so technically it's already too late, but you know what, whatever.
There's still some buzz. There's still some little residual Oscar buzz.
But we
can ride that.
What you guys don't know is that we've been on Corey Coleman time, which far exceeds black people time. So I'm just shocked that we're here right now doing this. I thought somebody was fucking with me, and I was like, list. I wiped my ass with that thing 20 years ago.
I'll be honest, I lost $20 on this.
I tell you, boy, color people time with me, that's slowed down to like Matrix bullet time speed.
Yeah, even Step and Fetch, you'd be like, come on, Corey, hurry up.
Yeah, we're going to start out with actually the best of worst of 2010 before we get started. So
Well, most websites already starting their best of 2012. Come on.
you guys ain't got nowhere to be for the next 3 hours, right? No, people, what we're going to do tonight is we're going to read off everyone's best stuff for 2011 and worst stuff for 2011. And I'm going to serve mostly as moderator. I've been busy with other things on the side here. And
Yes, none of the rest of us have been busy at all. We've sat around making lists.
But we actually watched the movies.
Yeah,
There is that.
got to a point where I said, you know what, y'all doing a good job at it. You can go ahead and take care of all that movie watching stuff. And sure enough, you've done a fine job,
Well,
gentlemen.
thanks.
Fine job, and I'm eager to hear your reports. But I'm very eager to hear what you guys thought because mainly I can't remember what came out 2011. And here's the thing. You've just finished watching the Oscars.
Yeah, right.
We're recording this right after the Oscars, and I think that this is a good post show to do because you've heard what the Academy Award, what they have to say about the movies of 2011, and now we get to see how much we agree with that and how much we disagree with that.
Well, I'm curious as to whether the fans are waiting for us to go like, yeah, fuck the Oscars. You guys, you tell it like it is. Give us your opinion because we know that they don't know what they're talking about. And will this be one of those where we go like, well, we kind of agree with this?
The Oscars got it right.
You guys got bought.
This is actually a year that I found that I went pretty far astray in my favorites from what the Oscars
Is that
thought.
right?
Yeah, way off their main list. I'm pretty sure you did too, for that matter.
Not as much
Not
as
so
I would
much.
think.
Is
yeah.
Warhorse on that?
Yeah, bullshit. Shit. You know what? I ran out of spaces on my worst stuff list.
Tree of Life, is that on there?
Fuck you.
Just saying.
Well, yeah, they include shit like that because Spielberg he's a staple. He's made them a lot of money. If Spielberg makes a movie, they feel obligated to put it in.
Yeah.
Because who wants to anger him? Who wants him leaving in a huff? You
Yeah.
got to leave him happy.
He's the big Eye of Sauron in
yeah.
LA.
If it's either him or James Cameron, if the two of them have made something that year, they're like, look, you guys, that's got to get included somewhere.
Is that why you have Avatar and Warhorse on your list right now? You're like, I don't know what James Cameron next movie is, but I'm gonna put it down. Untitled James Cameron project.
That was expensive enough of a movie. It should count for 2 or 3 years.
It sure could.
Well, I noticed My Soul to Keep is on there, but that ain't on the worst, right?
Yeah. I know. Oh,
When
Leon's
is
list?
My Soul to Keep?
That's a movie that you love.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Even though I can't remember it.
That's that Wes Craven horror film. Wasn't that 2010?
I don't know.
I don't know. Anyway, you know what? We've gotten the crowd excited enough. They're saying, hey, you know, what is it that they exactly picked? Did Leon actually put Avatar 2 down already without having seen it? We want to find out.
Hey, you peaked.
I tell you what.
Yeah,
Leon,
how you want to do this?
I will say this. This is how I like to present people.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, he has been one of the oldest members of Spill.com, not only by age, but how long he has been with myself and all kind of projects that we have done.
You guys make such a cute couple.
I know.
Guess you kiss after this.
I've envied and have come to respect his wisdom up until lately when he's been picking a lot of stupid ass movies as some of his favorite films. It's amazing how much I've admired his taste in movies and his decline throughout the years. Please welcome Leon, ladies and gentlemen, please.
And I would correct you only to say that it's not like suddenly I'm liking terrible movies. I'm just not hating movies that you guys hate.
That's not true. You know, I've seen the progression. I remember the days when something like Battlefield Earth used to be a fluke, and now it's become a regular thing. But
It's all right, Corey. It's the dementia. But today he's pretty lucid. So.
but you are here now, and we'd like to see just how many movies that you agree with the audience on, or the Academy Award on, or Rotten Tomatoes on, because you've often used the phrase, you know, fuck Rotten Tomatoes. I pick what I pick.
I wake up saying fuck Rotten Tomatoes. When my alarm goes off, I go, fuck Rotten Tomatoes. Oh, it's 6 a.m. All right, let me get
Well,
it going.
Leon, you know, let's just see how much you fuck Rotten Tomatoes right now. Let's start out. We're going to start out with everybody's best of list, and we're going to begin with yours, Leon.
All right, well, we start with my list. It's sort of in order, but not really. I started out trying to make it in order, and by the time you get to number 4 or 5, you're like, look, these are just other movies that are my favorites. Mm-hmm. So reading from my list, of course, it's no shock that Midnight in Paris is at the top of my list.
Yes.
That's
number 1?
Yes, that's absolutely number 1.
Okay.
And
why don't you start at number 10?
Oh, you want to start at number 10, work my way
already
up?
ruined number 1. Man, you really are the spoiler. Look at you. You spoil your own list.
Seriously, I mentioned Midnight in Paris in every review we do.
Now, not some people might have thought that another movie could have taken it because you do love a movie as probably, if not as much, very close to as much as you like Midnight in Paris. So, you know what? Let's start with number 10.
All right. Number 10 was, this is tough because I think I have 11 here. Because when it came to these 3 at the bottom, I couldn't decide what kind of order to throw them in.
Is this a tie?
Yes.
Okay, let's just do a tie then.
All right. It's going to be a tie between. Well, no, actually, number 10 itself would be on its own, and that's Ides of March.
Okay.
Because I really did love that movie.
Okay.
Now, what's tied for 9 is The Devil's Double and Limitless.
Okay, so The Devil's Double, that was the one. With
Dominic Cooper playing dual roles.
Yes,
Yeah.
as Uday Hussein and the guy he forced to be his double, Latif.
Yes.
His childhood friend who he's going to like tortures until he agrees to like, hey, come be my double and live like a millionaire and watch me rape children.
I'm sorry, you know what? I'm interrupting. You should just read the list and we'll go
Read the
back.
list?
And,
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
Leon always likes those raping children films. They always put these end of the year list.
Tied for number 9 was Devil's Double and Limitless.
Yes.
8, Hugo. 7, Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close. 6, is that where I am? Rango. 5, The Descendants. 4, Rise of the Planet of the Apes. 3, Super. Number 2, The Artist. And number 1, Midnight in Paris.
Super came out this year, right?
It came out in 2011.
Yeah, it was at the very beginning. It was
Yeah.
right around
Oh.
South by.
I forget.
Yeah.
I know it all after a while. One big colorful mashup of films over the last decade or so.
No, this is cool, and I'm interested to see how everybody else compares to your list, because Cyrus is right. You did deviate away from what a lot of people see. What I like about
You don't belong here.
Get out. Well, what I like about what you guys do is that we do nominate movies that a lot of people don't want to do, especially genre films,
Sure.
or movies with a little bit of edge that they don't want to recognize. There's some things in that list that a lot of people I'm surprised about. Now, the things that you have in there that seem to be I would say safe are things like Ides of March, The Artist, Midnight in Paris.
Okay,
But
yeah.
you went through, and I'm surprised Ides of March didn't get more attention at the Academy Awards.
I kind of am too, but I guess it's one of these things where they're like, all right, Clooney, it's always like, yes, it's one of these things where they're like, all right, Clooney, it's always like, if you're there for something, you get to choose one that's going to represent.
I know. It's almost like George Clooney like screwed himself over by being in the Descendants. And I noticed the Descendants made your list.
Yes, it did.
Okay, but you have movies in there like The Devil's Double.
Devil's Double,
Limitless.
Super, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Limitless.
Yeah, Limitless was the Bradley Cooper film.
Yeah.
That was the one where he took the pill and became smart.
Yeah, it's like a superhero origin story for like the smartest man on earth, superpowered.
It's just funny because that's a movie I've watched with different groups and watch how everybody responds to it the same way. Everybody watches it and gets excited because it's always that debate of, would you take that pill knowing that those are the side effects? And every person is like, hell yes, I would.
Yeah, because when you hear it just described, like when you read the blurb on the back, you're like, no, I wouldn't trust that. But then you watch in the movie what it's actually like, and now it's like fuck any drug you've ever heard of.
Yeah.
This is the most awesome thing you could ever put in your body. And it would be worth possibly dying because of it.
I'm actually shocked by your list because there's two of them that you mentioned that I completely fucking forgot about. That now when you mention them, I'm like, wow, those were great films. But thinking now, I'm like, maybe there's a reason why they're not on there. Super and Limitless. Super being the biggest one because I absolutely love that film. That film just blew me away when I saw it. It's like, if you're gonna take the everyday average guy, that's about as realistic as you could possibly get
to
with a situation like that.
Yeah.
Dealing with a guy who just wants to do something and dealing with a crazy fucking maniac like Kevin Bacon was in that movie, who was outstanding. I wish I could put that on my list, but I'd be kicking out some really good ones right now. But I'm glad it's on there. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's what it comes down. I mean, and to me, like one of the things I love about the movie is that it's not for everybody. For some people, it's too dark of a comedy, or it's just too dark. They can't handle it. Yeah. Or you go like, that's a weird movie. Why would you put that on there? But the fact is, it's edgy. It takes a chance. It goes out there. It does things that other movies are, either don't do or just are afraid to do.
And did that come out early in the beginning of the year?
Yes, it did.
Okay, that's probably why too.
It came out like the week before. We saw it at South by. And South by Southwest, it was like about a year ago exactly to this time. Mm-hmm. And we saw Limitless just a day or two afterwards.
Yeah, wow. And I would say that Super, that was one where I liked that a lot. I don't know if I would put on my list or not, but it was a movie where I was surprised at how many people, out of all the movies we see, that movie came out and people would just they became disgusted with it. Yeah. This is ugly. This is violent. This is just mean. I was like,
it's very bleak for a comedy, and a lot of people. It's a film that's going to require more than one screening for a lot of people because you go into it expecting one thing, and you got something way darker and more gory and fucked up than anything the trailers were selling.
Yeah.
I mean, you're watching Rainn Wilson is this guy who's like, I don't even know what to say his mental disability is, but he's got one. Becoming like a non-superpowered superhero who has just beat the shit out of people into comas with a pipe wrench. It was. I understand what those people were talking about. I wasn't disgusted, but I was like, man, I'm having a really hard time getting into this.
I'm sorry,
but the guy's like cutting line in a movie theater, and he just fucking like probably killed him for it. Like, that's a little harsh.
For it not being a Troma film, I have to admit, James Gunn has done work for Troma in the past, and you can still see like
James Gunn is a director. He also wrote Dawn of the Dead and all that stuff.
Right,
go ahead.
But he just watching his work now, you can still see where he's still carrying some of that mantle from his past, working with Troma. Yeah. And like watching that, I was like, wow, I bet you Troma wishes they had that film because it probably would have been their very first all-out, close to mainstream film as you can possibly get, as far as keeping like that gore element that you can tell that James Gunn is still in love with, when it comes to like the brutal scenes that you see in Super.
And that's what I was going to say, because I was leading up to all these movies saying some of them are considered to be genre films that won't fit in there. Some of them seem like they fit, just didn't get recognized by the Academy Awards. And then you had your obvious ones in there. But Super is the one that really stood out. And I think people were just thrown off by that movie because, like I said, I really like it, but I mean, come on, it's a guy in a superhero costume, and that's what got people all nervous about. Like, would you expect the motherfucker to fly or something? It's Travis Bickle wanting to be a superhero. I mean, when it was Travis Bickle in a Scorsese film, people were all right with that. Being that it's a guy who wants to be a superhero, I think people are expecting something a little funnier, a little gentler. And no, you got to understand before going in, It's about a disturbed individual.
Oh yeah.
And I like the way the movie sucks you in because it has a big animated opening and people going there. If anything, I would just say that it might mislead people in the beginning, but I like that.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the things I love.
And I like at the end it became a character study. It's not a superhero movie. It is the study of a fucked up person, and I like that. And I see why you like that.
But I also love how it showed the fact that he's a superhero going on patrol in a city that's not filled with crime, where a lot of it's just being behind a dumpster waiting for something to happen. It's like it really takes on this realistic look at what it would take to be a superhero. And with a lot of superheroes, it's always like that person's disturbed to do this, and they go, yes. As a matter of fact, you would have to be.
That is true. I mean, it does take some of the light away from superheroes being heroic. I mean, we see people in real life trying to be superheroes now. We're beginning to see them like, this fucker's crazy. And this shows that. This is why I support this movie, because it shows that you are fucked up if you try to put on a cape.
Do not try and be a superhero.
So, Leon, I'm telling you, put those plans down and stop, all right? Because out of everybody that I know, for some reason, you seem the one that's going to snap and try that shit.
Yeah, he's going to be Dark Phoenix Jones.
He already stole my thunder.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad this has happened. I'm glad you love this movie. That's a precautionary tale to you. That's a life lesson. Don't do that shit. Anyway, nice list, man. I like how different you put some things in there. I think yours is probably, I think everybody has something in there. There's one movie in everybody's list that says, that's you. That's your personality. and Super is definitely yours. So next I'd like to present a man who I'm so glad has not followed through with his hopes and wishes of beating the fuck out of me every week.
The trial never ends, Coleman. The trial never ends.
I'm blessed every week to have kept my life, not have my life taken by the hands of this man here. That would be Cyrus. Ladies and gentlemen, give Cyrus a hand. Come on, Cyrus, up to the stage.
Thank you.
Yeah, there you go, please. Now your list, I'm really looking forward to listening to, because you told me some of your list. I forgot about it. I think your list is probably not off, but way different from what the mainstream would expect.
And I believe that's true. A lot of the stuff that I don't know was in the Oscars and the Globes and stuff is they were things I go, yeah, those are great, and they're stuff that might have made my list if it was a different kind of year. Didn't, and that's partially because of some of the really great indie and foreign stuff that slipped into there, and even a documentary. Now I'm not going to do this in a direct 10 counting down because I can't. It would just be bullshit if I was to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing I'll say, and we'll just spoiler out of the way, Midnight in Paris, favorite movie, no question. I've been saying it every week ever since we saw the goddamn film. So if anyone still doesn't know that by now, where have you been?
Now, what if we just had a member just sign up today and this is their first podcast and they're just like, wow, man, you spoiled that list for me.
Well, I don't even know who this motherfucker is.
but I didn't want to know his top pick until last.
Fuck that guy. But you know what? Starting off with that aforementioned documentary was Senna, which is if there was ever a movie that fucking surprised the shit out of me that I fell in love with as much as I did this, I can't think of it. I mean, because I could give a shit about race car driving. I mean, I don't care.
Yeah, right? It's a documentary about the Italian race car driver.
Formula One racer.
Yeah, the last Formula One racer to die during the racing. I mean, obviously others have died since, but they weren't in a car at the time, I don't think.
Right. but it was especially tragic because he was the greatest racer.
Yeah, he was beloved the world over, and it's fascinating ups and downs of this guy's life and how gifted he was, how some people loved him and some people couldn't stand him, and it's just, and the whole thing was, even though it was all filmed using documentary footage, it's not like they were recreating the sequences of his life. There was so much footage because he was so famous from even an early age that like they piece it together as if you're watching a narrative story. And man, that shit just blew me away.
Yeah, you get so much. Yeah, you get so much of his life in that documentary. I mean, because he's considered he was Captain Brazil. I mean, that whole.
Was he Brazilian then? I said Italian.
No, he's a Brazilian.
Death rock Brazil.
Okay. Yeah, everything he did, like all those people, they were looking at him like the greatest leader they've ever had.
Yeah,
and you could see this because even during like his death, I mean, you saw people just like in the streets, like every soul in Brazil was out in the streets, to get to basically mourn his death and
wrecking their cars.
It's just,
no, man. I mean, like they lied to the country and said that he was in the hospital for 3 days, like he was in a coma, even though he had died instantly. But they were just like, "What are we gonna do?
Shit's gonna go down when they find out he's dead."
It was. You could tell tell how tragic it was.
Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't you go ahead and just read off your list, and we'll reflect on some of those after you go down.
Okay, sorry about that. Well,
no problem.
Like I said, this isn't in any particular order, but The Skin I Live In, which was one of those ones that just, wow, that was. I don't even really like this director, but what's his name again?
Almodovar.
Yeah. What's his name again?
Almodovar.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of his, but this blew me away. It's amazing science fiction storytelling. Of course, now my tablet chooses now to shut down. Tucker and Dale versus Evil, because I tell you what, if there's one thing I love, it's a really truly great horror comedy, and there's maybe 6 of them ever made.
Okay, let me stop you though. Let me stop you. I wanted that to be on my list, and I checked, and it supposedly it's considered a 2010 release.
It depends on where you read it, because it got festival releases then, but its full-on regular theatrical release wasn't until 2011.
And there's like several films where I was like, okay, will you guys make up your fucking mind? When did this come out already?
Headhunters was another one. Saw it Fantastic Fest. That's I believe it's Swedish.
Yeah.
No, it's Norwegian.
It's Norwegian.
Are you at number 7 now?
Like I said, I'm not really numbering this.
I'm sorry.
You have to keep track, sir, if it means something to you.
Then I'm going to call it number 7.
So I'm getting at my Corey Coleman beating stick. It's time! Amazing little twisty thriller that keeps going to unexpected places, and you probably won't even get to see it for a little while, because the moment it came out, it got bought by a Hollywood studio, like, oh, we're remaking that shit. And so they're just stepping on an American theatrical wide release of that until they can make their own version.
Yeah. Hey, guess what? I just got your emails.
Oh, good. Well, there you go.
Yeah, we spent like an hour trying to get Cyrus's emails on my computer, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
I Saw the Devil, another foreign film, amazing, relentlessly dark film from South Korea that just absolutely blew me away.
What the fuck? I want to watch this movie, but with the Koreans in these movies, they make them so brutal. I'm like, really? You guys can't pull back even a little bit?
No, it is hard fucking core in every sense.
All right.
Warrior was one of those movies that I had no idea that I was going to get as pumped up about just a very straightforward, seemingly boxing film, even though it's MMA, but whatever. It's in the context of the film, it's a boxing style film.
It was more to it than that.
It's Rocky, except that they've got you rooting for both people. And they really pull it off. It is one of the greatest crowd pleasers that came out in 2011. I mean, you have to keep yourself from wanting to stand up in the theater and go, yeah!
Even though there was no crowd there to really do that.
It sold pretty well here in Austin.
Which one was that?
A Warrior.
Oh yeah, that movie. Well, we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, The Guard, another film that just blew me away. I thought maybe the funniest comedy, except for Midnight in Paris, that I saw this year, with Brendan Gleeson as the Irish cop who's dirty's the wrong word. Casual.
He's dirty.
He's dirty.
He's a dirty racist son of a bitch, but lovable at the same time.
And has in the end has the best intentions.
Yeah. That's super super funny. Really really smart. Rise of the Planet of the Apes, because God damn it, that was the biggest surprise of the year.
I got to say, man, I don't like to throw shit in people's face, much like an ape. But back when I kept saying, I think the trailer looks good, you like, no, it looks like shit, and this movie's gonna suck.
Oh, you were that guy. I ain't gonna lie. I remember you like, it looks like shit.
Yeah, I was determined that this was not going to be good, and I was mistaken, sir. Continuing on, Hannah. Really, really, really phenomenal to me.
You know what? I didn't like Hannah that much when I saw it, but when they sent us a screener, I went back and watched it again, and I liked it a whole lot more.
It's an art action film, and there's more and more of that sort of thing coming out now. Like Soderbergh just did Haywire, which would qualify as that as well. And I love it.
It's very Hannah-ish.
I hope that this is a genre or like a subgenre of action that people continue to experiment with. Thought Hannah was wonderful, and the Chemical Brothers knocked it out of the park with their score.
Yeah, you're right. You know what? And that was something that really stood out to me. The soundtrack. I was like, wow, I'm really digging this right now.
And the only other one I want to mention, other than Midnight in Paris, which whatever, worship on my knees, is Rango, which was not just the best animated film of the year, but that's probably my number 2 favorite movie period this year.
All right.
I mean, wow.
Like I said, I noticed that you being Cyrus, you really are into the genre movies.
I am very much into the genre films.
And that's good, because I think they need a voice, not there's a lot of people who
he's the Lorax of genre movies.
I speak for the genres.
I know. I am the Cyrus. I speak for the geeks.
The Academy is like the Onceler.
Yeah, no, I noticed that you picked a lot of festival films from our genre festival, Fantastic Fest. And a lot of these you saw there are at South by Southwest. I mean, these movies do need a voice for them to speak, for somebody to speak for them. I mean, like Tucker and Dale, I thought was amazing, man.
Yeah, it's funny because I liked it a lot the first time. Absolutely head over heels in love with it the second time. Like, I could not stop laughing through the whole movie the second time because a lot of the jokes you don't even get until you've seen it through and you realize where they're going to end up. Wow, just absolute brilliance.
That's Alan
Tudyk and I forget the other guy's name. He's from that show Reaper,
and he's from Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, Planet of the Apes.
He was in an old fashioned origin.
Something Labine.
Yeah, I forgot his name.
Labine.
He's a fat guy with a beard.
Yeah, he's the new Donald Logue.
Yeah, and and he in that movie, the thing about it is, like you said, it is a horror comedy. And we don't see those very often, and when we do see them, they're not done to the level of cleverness that this is done. It's about two hillbillies, but sweet-natured hillbillies who scare these teenagers so much that they end up accidentally killing themselves because they're either running from these hillbillies or doing something stupid trying to kill them. And
hey, man, hillbillies are scary. I don't care what you say.
They're nice. They're the new hillbillies.
I ain't taking no chances.
Well, that's how it really works in this film, is because they're not just like, they're not the killers. They are genuinely really sweet, best friends for life, just lovable guys who are indeed total rednecks, but they're not like all that other nasty shit. They're good old boys, mind you.
Yeah, and what I loved about it is that film really had like two movies going on playing simultaneously at once, because you got the perspective of the kids to where in their eyes it was playing out like a Friday the 13th movie, where it goes back to the two buddies where it was like Ernest Goes to Camp. They're just trying to figure out how this whole camping thing works, and they got crazy kids going nuts around them, and they just can't figure out like what is going on. Why are these kids over here getting into all kinds of fucked up accidents?
But I'm glad that you mentioned it, because I had actually interviewed the director who said this is a movie where I caught it right at the moment the true home digital streaming market was kicking in. He said, if I had just come in just a little bit earlier, this movie probably would have got a wider release.
Right.
Because we had some legal issues with the distribution rights in America and overseas. I think they had better I'm not sure. I think they had better distribution rights over in Europe than they did here. There was something they were going through. By the time it got ready to be distributed, it came out in very limited release.
This shit went straight to Redbox, I thought.
Pretty much,
because I saw it in 2010, which it's unfortunate, because I'm going to say that is on my list from 2010, because I saw it in 2010, and I was like, wow, it's kind of sad to think how that movie really slipped through the cracks. And because there's so many people I want to turn that movie onto. There's still a lot of people that have no idea about it
every day,
and it's unfortunate because it's one of the most original horror films that I think has come out in the last 10 years.
Every day, someone else I know, I swear to God, is posting on their Facebook, holy shit, we just saw this movie Tucker and Dale versus Evil. Have you seen that shit? It's amazing. Yes, I have been preaching from the mountaintop for a year now. You don't listen. But this belongs in that rarefied small group of truly amazing horror comedies that are both a horror film and a comedy film in equal proportions, along with Evil Dead 2,
exactly,
and Shaun of the Dead,
easily,
and stuff like that. I mean, it's one of the greats.
And I saw The Devil. I mean, that
is fucked up.
It is majorly fucked up. And while it probably wouldn't have made my list for best of 2011, I do like the intricacies of the story. I mean, that story, I think there's certain areas where it goes way over the top. But if you were to pull it back a little bit, I think it's right up there with some of the writing that you have in Silence of the Lambs or anything like that.
And the film, just the straight filmmaking, the cinematography, the performances, everything about that film knocks it out of the park. Yeah. And it's such a weird concept, the idea like this cop whose fiance gets murdered by the serial killer, who is indeed unredeemable. There's nothing good, nice, or to like about this serial killer. But the cop is like, you know what? I'm not going to just catch this guy. I'm going to take a vacation, and I am going to stalk this guy, and I am going to torture him over the space of weeks, making sure he knows that no matter how far he goes, it will never be far enough away from me that I can't catch up with him.
And you know what it does? Here's the cool thing, that this is what the movie does that's real cool. at least for me, I mean, call me crazy, but there was a point where he was abusing and stalking and just physically just harming this serial killer so much that you kind of felt there was a moment, just a brief moment where you felt bad for the serial killer. You're like, fuck, man, give the guy a break.
The movie is really like a Death Wish movie on crack cocaine. It is unrelentless as far as like the brutality that it depicts. To where when I was watching, I was cringing, and I haven't done that in a movie in a long time as far as like movie violence goes. But this one, I mean, they're not afraid to keep that camera on something that's so horrific to even imagine. And when they show it, you're like, wow, this is like close to like watching Faces of Death. And then at some point, Charlie motherfucking Bronson's going to come in and serve up some real justice. But he's having too much of a good time with it. Wow, these guys are both insane. They're both cut from the same cloth.
It sounds like he needs to team up with Lisbeth Salander and they just go down their lipstick list.
She wouldn't be able to handle it.
It's the genius of this film is that it really makes the audience confront revenge and the idea of violent revenge in a very disconcerting and self-loathing sort of way.
Wow. I mean, anytime you look at a cop going after a guy that horribly murdered his wife, and you look at the cop and be like, damn, man, that's way too much. Come on, man, that's wrong. I mean, that's when you know a movie's kind of working, because the cop, they do kind of, I'm not going to say they switch places, but they put the cop in the same psychosis as the serial killer. And you do look at this and say, hey, man, you're going in that area where you need to stop because you're becoming that thing that you're hunting.
Yeah.
And
staring into the abyss.
Yeah, no, it really is a great movie, man. I mean, the character study alone in that is something just like Super, where I said a lot of people have to look past all of the gore and the violence and look at how well they wrote this complicated character, or in this case, these characters in this movie. Before we move on, I wanted to talk about this other movie that you put on here. The Guard, because I don't think anybody else is going to have it. But The Guard was one where it's every year you get a movie that people talk about, and they're like, man, that's Oscar right there. That's Oscar.
Yeah, by the time Oscars rolled around, it's like, remember you said that was Oscar? What movie were you talking about?
Yeah.
That was me.
Let me say it first. Oscar. What'd you say first again? I can't remember.
What's that word again? Who? Yeah. But The Guard was one where everybody was saying this is one of the best of the year, and I still maintain I'm right there with you on that. I love that movie, man.
Oh,
yeah,
so
funny. It was two people that I didn't really ever think I would see together, and two people that really played off each other in a humorous way. A nice humorous way was Don Cheadle and Brandon Gleeson, man.
Yeah. They were total opposites, and they're not supposed to like each other. But you always wonder. You said earlier, Leon, that like he's this big racist, and the film presents this idea that like it's not even so much that he's a racist. He's hyper aware of how sensitive people are about race.
There's that too,
and he uses it to throw everyone around him off balance, so he can actually go ahead and do whatever it is that he really wants to do.
Yeah, but and what he wants to do, like, is he will obey the law. He's all about justice, but as far as obeying the law, he's all about like getting out of work, just doing whatever feels good to him. He's a total hedonist.
Yeah, he's at the pub having a beer. I mean, the first scene in the movie is him
stealing drugs off people.
There's a terrible accident where they're dead, and he's like searching the body, and he finds some LSD, and he goes, pops it in his mouth.
Yeah. Now,
really?
I don't want everybody out there to try to do this, because what they did was, I like when people take a character that's we keep saying racist. He does have certain racist tendencies, and you still have to question: is this guy doing this to get his job done? Is he like the Columbo of racism? You're
right.
Like, excuse me, one more nigga. What'd you say? But
if somebody mixed Columbo and Archie Bunker,
that's perfect right there with an Irish accent. But they're not afraid to write a character like that and put it out there for people to see. And granted, they give a pass to him because they do team him up with a black character that kind of validates him after a while. And that's why I'm saying I don't want everybody out there in Hollywood trying to do it, because we might have to whoop somebody's ass if they get it wrong.
It's because Cheadle's character is shown as being smart enough, although immediately, as anyone would be at first, like, what the fuck, dude? He's smart enough that he kind of figures out what Brendan Gleeson's game is, like how this guy's mind operates in it. In fact, he really is like incredibly brilliant. And it's such a neat team up. At the end, you're just like, you could never ever do anything else again with these characters, and you'd always remember this is a great movie.
Yeah.
But you could easily make 5 or 6 more movies with these characters.
I would love to that character continue. And I like that not only did they put a racist character as the lead that you sympathize with and relate to even, but they just made the black man look bad. You know,
I mean, when he came up wearing that clown suit,
they put Don Cheadle in some bad suits in that movie. He came with a purple jacket and some polka dot shirts.
I honestly believe that shit came from his own personal wardrobe. Like, this guy has a thing for Willy Wonka because wow.
Man.
Do you juggle too?
He's like, and I love Don Cheadle's reaction. Man, fuck you. It's like, no, you can't say nothing, man. That suit is bad. All right.
And that's the sad. That was like the only real flaw of the film. I'm like, okay, you've had this character who's been giving this guy shit, but he doesn't mention a single word about his goddamn suit. That's where I actually got kicked out of the movie. I was like, all right.
But he finally did. He finally did say something about his suit.
Yeah, he said something about it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what Leon was saying.
Oh, I was too busy gone, man.
You had left already. He's not saying anything about his suit, so I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Memory is not co-host strong suit.
All right, let's go ahead and move on.
Co-host.
We're ready for you.
This man usually has not only the most different list from everybody, but the weirdest list, and you're going to have to forgive him because what do you expect from somebody made from Mexican and Japanese spare parts? Car parts at that.
That's just how I live, all right?
Go ahead, co-host 3000, roll up to the stage, please.
Hello. Here's my list.
You go, girl.
Hello.
Hit us with the weird and the wacky.
Yes.
Better work. Let me do my thing and make love to the camera. The thing is, honestly, tonight, when I heard you guys were doing this, I really did throw out my list, and I forgot almost about every goddamn movie. As far as 2000, I was like, okay, that ain't ever happening, so why should I give a shit? But
is that why you spent all this time copying off their papers?
Yeah, it's funny because hearing their two lists, there's movies that I'm like shocked that I just completely forgot about to put on my list, and definitely from Cyrus's
I'll tell you what,
list.
don't say them yet. Read your list. Now I'm dying to hear.
I mean. Let's see. I'm gonna do the obvious ones. Obviously, Midnight in Paris is in there. I put The Artist because I saw that. You had that too.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was really floored by what they did with that film. As far as making it silent
it was
and making
brave
it
to do it.
Yeah. It was fucking brave, and there wasn't a single wasted moment in that movie.
Absolutely.
Period. And I love what they did with the sound when there was sound. How they incorporated it into the film. That was amazing to me. Let's see, The Artist, Midnight in Paris, Rise of the Planet of the Apes. I was shocked somebody made a good fucking Planet of the Apes movie once, especially after all these years of just wanting to see some genuinely good sci-fi.
I'm so mad that nobody went to interview Tim Burton to find out what he thought of it.
Yeah. What's your excuse, motherfucker? Yeah.
I'll be a monkey's uncle.
Headhunters is definitely in there, the Norwegian film that we were talking about, because
sad that other people can't see it yet, because oh my god,
I know it's available. It's available some fucking way.
I think if you have an all-region player, you can get an import.
And that's the Norwegian movie you were talking about.
Go out of your way and see that. That is probably the most intense, insane thriller I have seen in the longest goddamn time. If Christopher Nolan wanted to incorporate gore into his movies, this is about the closest you can get to an actual really good Christopher Nolan thriller.
Cool.
And the actors in it are amazing. One of the guys, the antagonist in it is the guy who's in Games of Thrones.
Game of Thrones, he plays Jaime Lannister.
He's so fantastic. As he's a guy. Okay, the lead in the movie.
And what is this?
This is Headhunters. The lead in the movie is an art thief, and he decides to steal from this guy who's in Game of Thrones. You realize he fucked with the wrong fucking guy, because this guy has a military background to where he always gets his man. And once this guy realizes he's fucked with the wrong person, as soon as the movie starts, it never slows down. Just the situations they get into are so goddamn intense. I mean, I hadn't seen it since it came out, but I mean, I just remember being on the edge of my seat, and I haven't been like that in a movie in the longest fucking time. There's that. What else? I threw in Warrior, because Warrior I thought was a movie that I was shocked that it really didn't get the praise it should have. And unfortunately, there was no real audience there to really see it. I guess when it came out, I think what really screwed that movie over was the advertising on it, and it really did a number for that. But I thought all the characters were pretty amazing, especially Nick Nolte, just in a story dealing with sons dealing with their father. I just really
Fight
like
Club
blew
went
me
through
away.
the same thing, where there's a lot of people who didn't go see it because they just thought it was a movie about fighting and nothing else, and trying to tell them like, no, you don't understand.
Way
there's
more than
so
that.
much more going on here.
Yeah, so there's that. Let me see here. The Skin I Live In is obviously,
Our
you know,
list is so far the same list.
I know, which is kind of it's kind of boring at this point. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. My list is really boring now at this point. But yeah, The Skin I Live In. I mean, that movie brought the question to me. Knowing what I know about this particular character, would I still want to fuck her? And you'll never know the answer to that, but that's kind of the great thing.
I'm going to go with yes. That's the answer.
Yeah, usually when somebody says it like that, the answer is yes.
But you're right. I mean, there is such a sci-fi angle going on. It is one of those movies where it's like, wow, this is like an intense Twilight Zone episode that you'll never.
Like that, the answer is yes.
But you're right. I mean, there is such a sci-fi angle going on. It is one of those movies where it's like, wow, this is like an intense Twilight Zone episode that you'll never ever see. And somebody filmed it. Yeah, this guy pulled it out.
Skin I Live In.
Skin I Live In.
With the twists that just keep coming.
Oh, yeah.
The whole film, it keeps shaking up the whole game.
Yeah. And Antonio Banderas, wow, this is the first time where I realized, okay, this guy can act. You know, he's not just mugging it for the camera all the time. He's not doing his Puss in Boots. He's really playing a character for the first time in a long time that I've seen
Puss
him
in Boots is pretty badass, man.
He's Dr.
Yeah, I bet it is. But let's see here. But the one that I'm actually shocked that I haven't heard a single peep about, and for me that's going to be Source Code. Source Code
was a lot of fun.
Is one of those that came out, but I really, really, really love this movie. I took this movie to heart. This is probably, as far as like we were talking about, like movies like Limitless, where there's definitely seems to be a superhero angle type to it.
Yeah.
For me, Source Code was that movie. Just you talk about trying to get back to the days of storytelling like Alfred Hitchcock used to do. For me, Source Code was that movie. Source Code was directed by Duncan Jones. And Duncan Jones, he did Moon the year before, which I really love. And there is a definite like Twilight Zone, Alfred Hitchcock mood to his films that I really appreciate, because it's like, wow, I see people always trying to do it, but they fail miserably. This guy, I don't really think he's really received the credit that he deserves, where I think M. Night Shyamalan kind of fucked it up for him. I think a lot of people probably see it and they're like, you know, I don't want to consider this guy the next Alfred Hitchcock because M. Night really fucked me hard on that when I used to tell all my friends. But yeah, I mean,
he's David Bowie's son, right?
No,
Yes.
I had no idea.
Yeah, David Bowie's
Wow.
son. Yeah.
Win-win for that fucking guy. But yeah, Source Code, I loved it. I definitely think if you haven't seen it, or you're
David Bowie wrote all those Space Oddity songs, so of course his first movie was Moon.
Moon, yeah. Right?
But I mean, if you haven't seen it, please do yourself a favor, see it. I mean, I know family members that absolutely love that movie. That I'm like, man, I wish more people would talk about it. But the biggest one for me will always be Attack on the Block.
Attack the Block?
Attack the Block.
With the block attacks.
Sorry.
The Block versus Godzilla.
Attack the Block is always. I feel real stupid for fucking that up. Attack the Block. I mean, that's a movie I saw during, I think it was South by Southwest.
Right.
I was the only one that was able to catch it. I don't think any of you guys caught it at all.
We had something else going on. As much as we tried to make it, we didn't make it, but you did.
Yeah, and I remember walking out of there just thinking, wow, now here's a movie that this is the type of movie I would catch by accident on HBO, like late night. A movie that just blows me away to the point where you want to scream about it. You want to start doing advertising for this film because it's just something so unique that you've never seen before. It's a story of a group of inner city kids living in Brixton that.
I don't know if I use the word innocent. They were thugs.
Yeah,
no.
Stretching it a little bit.
No. Did I say innocent?
You said innocent.
With the mugging an innocent woman.
No. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say innocent. Just a group of inner city. Inner city. I said inner city. That's probably what you.
Co-host and his friends.
A group of inner city kids living in Brixton that they're hanging around, fucking up as usual. All of a sudden, an alien invasion starts to happen around them. And seeing how they react to it, and when they finally realize, oh, okay, the shit is going down, we have to step this up, and just like seeing how they really make this story about these kids bonding together, trying to fight this otherworldly threat, I thought it just was mind blowing to me. I love the camaraderie with these kids. The camaraderie reminded me of like the camaraderie like the Goonies had, the Warriors, and the alien threat reminded me of like, wow, this is like if James Cameron wanted to do aliens on Earth, this is probably how it would be. This is the most logical way it would play out, and it plays out in such a small way that you can't but feel like you're a part of the movie when you're watching it, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
But yeah, and especially like for a movie that has like a black hero. I thought this was Moses. Yeah. Well, I was screaming Moses at the top of my lungs when I walked out, and everyone was like, "Oh man, another Jesus freak." But but the thing is that
is that what they were saying?
Yeah. Like, he really loves that Bible. But
I gotta tell you were comparing those monsters to like aliens, but it's like I guess, but more squeezable and
Yeah.
I want a stuffed animal of those monsters. I swear.
That would be. I would love that. I would love to have one.
Yeah. I would love one too.
Yeah.
I would.
But as far as just probably the most,
Stephanie, get on it.
The most fun I had in the theater, and the most kind of disappointing way to where I wanted to tell people about, but nobody had it.
Is that your top movie?
Any means of watching it. Yeah, that is by far my top and all-time favorite.
Wow.
And
right.
and check out the soundtrack too. The soundtrack is fucking great. Basement Jaxx does a great song called The Ends on it.
Yeah, that is a really
yeah.
kicking soundtrack. No
Yeah.
question about it.
So, you know what? During this whole time that you guys were doing your thing, I actually came up with a
Did you?
with a list.
Yeah, because I thought that would happen.
I love how he couldn't do this while you guys are doing it, so there's no commentary on mine. So yeah. But I like that. I don't need Corey's 2 cents on it. No, there you go.
You commented on
All right.
everything.
Well, there you go.
And plus, what I have on my list are some things that I'm going to agree with you on that I'm going to come back and elaborate on.
All right.
But no, you did a good job at like as you read, you commented on them. So
No, you don't have to tell me how I did.
yeah, no,
Nice job.
good job.
I know what I'm doing.
Hey.
Why don't you just go to sleep?
I'm gonna give you this juice
All right,
box
I'll see you guys tomorrow at the movie. All right? Bye.
No, okay. So real quick, I'm just going to go down the list, and like I said, I'll elaborate on some of the things that you guys had talked about after I read this off. And mine is sort of a top 10. Top 11 if you go by a tie that I have here. And at number 10, which is where you have the tie, you have The Skin I Live In and Everything Must Go, the Will Ferrell movie.
Oh yeah,
the Will Ferrell drama.
Yeah, that was one. It almost made my list.
Yeah. Number 9 is Limitless. Number 8, Ides of March. Number 7, Rango. Number 6, Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Number 5, The Descendants. Wait a minute, that's not. I'm fucked up. Hold on.
Doesn't even know his own list. I don't know what I like.
3, 4. Number 4, The Descendants.
Wait, what was number 5?
That's cool. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, I'm sorry. I made a top 9. Let me start over.
Well, you got
number
a tie.
10, Everything Must Go.
You did, yeah. That one that you had to tie for.
Yeah. Let me just drop that down a notch.
Yeah.
Number 10, Everything Must Go, the Will Ferrell drama. Number 9, The Skin I Live In. Number 8, Limitless. Number 7, Ides of March. Number 6, Rango. Number 5, Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Number 4, The Descendants. Number 3, Attack the Block. Number 2, Midnight in Paris. And number 1 is The Artist. Now, you didn't even have The Artist on your list, did you, Cyrus?
You know what? The Artist is one of those movies that I do respect the shit out of, and I really did enjoy, but it just wouldn't have cracked my personal top 10.
Yeah.
I
hear you.
I mean, I've even seen it 3 times now because I had various family members who were in town like, "Ooh, you got an advanced copy of The Artist. Can we watch it?" All right, I'll watch The Artist again. And honestly, it's one of those films that I was not enjoying more with each time. I was getting a little bit bored the more I saw it. So, I don't know. Whereas Midnight in Paris, same thing, where everyone was like, "Ooh, I hear you have Midnight in Paris. Can we watch it?" I've seen that sucker a bunch of times now, and I like it more every time
I saw
see
it 3 times straight on a plane.
Jesus.
Yeah. Well, they kept playing.
You almost ended up in Paris in the 20s.
He walked in and couldn't say anything but rhinoceros.
By the time it was over with, I was sitting in a hot air balloon next to Ernest Hemingway. I was like, what the fuck?
Planes landed with you on the wing doing a Charleston.
No, I just want to mention The Artist because we hadn't elaborated on that too much because The Artist is the obvious choice. I mean, Midnight in Paris is too, but The Artist just won Best Picture. Everybody was talking about it. And when I saw it, and I remember telling you guys, I saw it on DVD, and when I was watching it, I was in that mindset of kind of giving it a little bit of a backlash. Oh, this is a love letter to Hollywood. This black and white silent movie. Hollywood loves this kind of thing. Of course they're gonna like this. Of course it's a shoe-in for Best Picture. Whatever. And I watched it, and when it was over with, I was like, whatever. And then I was too lazy to get up and change the DVD. It went on a loop, and I caught myself watching it again. And just love it.
This time with your shields down.
Yeah. And I, when the movie went off, I would have dropped my guard and I would have loved the movie. I was just feeling like an asshole at the time. But, fuck this movie, man. Shit, I ain't got my Academy
Plus,
Award.
by then, the acid had kicked in.
Yeah. Black and white. Yeah, the movie wasn't color for me.
I don't know what they're talking about, it being a silent film.
I colorized that shit. Corey,
I got
that dog was talking to me.
I got to say about your list. Kind of shocked that Moneyball's not on it. Much as you was sucking the dick of that movie.
Moneyball, okay, I love Moneyball. And just because I said I love Moneyball doesn't mean it made my top 10, but I do love Moneyball. But there were just some movies on there that I like more for different reasons.
He was just playing with the balls a little bit. That's all. He wasn't
Like I said, I enjoyed the hell out of it.
All balls, no money.
Yeah. He wasn't
Like I
sucking
said,
nothing.
I enjoyed the hell out of it.
All balls, no money.
Yeah.
The artist to full price, but it's not the type of movie that would
But
have
see,
made
the
my top
artist is something that I really do recognize in many achievements. I mean, to make a silent film like they did.
Yeah.
And not only that, but anybody could have made a silent film. I mean, we've seen people do it as parodies, like
Mel Brooks.
Yeah, Mel Brooks did it. And then we've seen people play with black and white, like Steve Martin has done it. This person did it and made a genuine, human, emotional film. And I look at the things in there that he did past making it black and white, past making it silent. I love the dance number in it. The choreography in it is amazing. And
I think that's one of the things about it where you go and you go like, okay, it's one of these. It's like, no, there's more to it than that. Okay, it's got that in it. Wait, there's this.
Oh
too.
yeah, and I forget the actor's name, but
Jean Dujardin.
Yeah. I mean,
something like
amazing casting here. That guy has a face. He would have been a superstar back in the silent era, and I'm sure in the early days of when film came into sound.
He's got that young Gene Kelly thing going where he's always smiling, and it's just infectious to watch him.
No, this movie, man, it was amazing on how it succeeded on so many different levels that even if I wanted to like choose something above that, like Midnight in Paris, I just couldn't, because this was a technical achievement and it was a storytelling achievement. I mean, not everybody can tell a story like the way this guy did.
It was a great story, too. The story of what I really admired about it was like just the story of in with the new, out with the old, and just like there was a point in that era where a lot of people were dealing with that, just when sound was coming in the movies, and you could see that in all aspects of life, as far as what you're into. I mean,
it makes a great commentary on even what's going on now. That a lot of that out with the old, in with the new is happening. People getting left behind. It's like, well, so is technology. You can't get with it. Too bad. Yeah. And I think what really made this movie touch me is that I've seen plenty of these stories before where it's like,
I know.
What?
Nothing up.
Okay. Where you've seen these before, it's like, well, people are talking now. You got a voice, so you left behind, or radio shows are dead. We got TV now. But the fact that this was a guy who was like, he didn't turn bitter. He was really trying. He just like, no, I'm going to persevere. I'm going to keep my head up. And it just comes to a point where it just finally breaks him down. And that's what it got to me.
And to see a character that just had such a tough spirit get just broken down like that is hilarious. But no, you really feel fun. But you're right. It is a great commentary about what's going on with entertainment right now as far as technology goes. Right now, we're making this transition into the digital age, and there's so much competition going on with movies. I mean, you have people feeling very nervous about how the cheap filmmaking is going for found footage movies with no actors in them.
Right.
You have people going off and having to do voice work for video games now to compete in another area. You have people who are and let's not even talk about the actors. You have directors who are saying, will I be able to transition from film to digital, or is my work going to be seen as it should on a big screen, or somebody have to watch it at home?
Look what reality TV is doing to TV right now.
Absolutely.
I mean,
But we've seen a renaissance in TV too with great storytelling. There's always going to be something fighting that.
But just the nature of the distribution model is one of the biggest changes that everyone's dealing with now, because it means they've got to think about budgets in a very different way than they did before. So suddenly doing smaller budgeted, make a point of making smaller budgeted movies is much more important than it was even just a few years ago.
Well, But everything is changing so fast, and like things change, and somebody gets left behind. The people who manage to stay with it, they laugh and go, ah ha ha. See, y'all were too. You should have been smart like me because I kept up with the trend, not realizing that it's going to be their turn next.
Yeah.
It's like this is moving faster than you think. So don't start celebrating.
I mean, it's a point where it's just a commentary on somebody's career that is timeless.
Yeah.
At what point do you enter the next phase of your life just because of age, and you have to say, all right, I have to. George Clooney was saying this. He's like, I'm still considered like a sex symbol, but I'm playing more dads now. I'm not the guy that's always going out and getting the girl. I'm going to have to think about writing and directing. I can't always be this guy that's in front of the camera, else I'm going to pull a Cary Grant and just totally disappear. So the movie again. Look at we're talking about the social statement it makes on so many different layers. It's an amazing movie, and it deserves every accolade that it deserves. Attack the Block, man. Look, Midnight in Paris, everybody's already spoken about that. Amazing. We speak about that all the time. Love the movie. What can I say more about that? But Attack the Block is something that I thought that really did blow my mind. Personally, I mean, just if I had to just say a Corey Coleman personality movie, Attack the Block would be number one because that movie, you hit it when you said it was the Goonies. I admire this movie for being what the Goonie wasn't. This is an actual coherent story where they're not afraid to put these kids in true danger. And I love the way they turn around.
Yeah, because those kids are starting the danger through most of the first.
Well, that's what's cool about the movie too. You take these kids. And see, this is just something where, again, to me, it's all about character. This is one of the best character-written movies that I've seen all year. I'm not saying it's the best, but it's right up there with a lot of the character-driven movies. I mean, these are personalities that start out one way, where you don't like these kids, you hate these kids, and then by the end of the movie, you're rooting for them. I mean, you see where they come from and what they're about, and you get their side of the story. And by the end of it, especially the character of Moses is a hero. So I mean, the
these
whole
kids man up by reaching down inside themselves when there's a time of absolute crisis for everyone and become heroes.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm not even looking at the sci-fi aspect of it, which is great. I mean, I just love the concept. Inner city kids. I mean, it starts out that's totally something different. Kids robbing a girl one night, and then aliens come down, and they got to man up and protect the block. I just love the way the story spun. And that kid that plays Moses, I'm really hoping that they make that Training Day prequel that I want.
Right.
Because that kid looks like a young Denzel Washington.
He really does.
Yeah. What was the J.J. Abrams film that was this year? Super 8.
Super 8.
This one did for me right. Everything Super 8 faltered on.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, right.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Man,
Super 8,
I couldn't have put it better myself. Everybody who thought that Super 8, now if you're like 12 and you can't go see a rated R movie, Super 8 is for you. But for the adults who are talking about, Super 8 did this and it was a take back to Spielberg, let me tell you something. Super 8 was a ripoff of Spielberg.
It was.
Yeah.
Attack the Block was the essence of Spielberg. Somebody who recognized the expertise and the talent of Spielberg and took it and made it their own.
Did something new with it.
Exactly. Yeah. So I love Attack the Block. I saw it twice, and again, that's a soundtrack that should have been nominated, man. That was an amazing soundtrack.
Yeah, it was.
I don't even get into soundtracks anymore, but that one is one that I was listening to like endlessly on one day, just on a loop. So
that's fantastic.
Yeah, I love it. Rango. We hardly elaborate on Rango, but great to see somebody take a risk on an animated film that truly is different.
Yeah,
and it's a great Western and a great animated film,
and a talking animal film too.
Yeah. Somebody animated. Yeah, somebody animated a Sergio Leone film. That's pretty much what happened with that. Where that was on my list, but I wish I could have just put it in as a tie. But that was really that would have been number 11.
But the Rango is amazing, man. Gore Verbinski,
who
had no. I mean, we'd never seen him release an animated film. Come out with this, and it's about as weird as you can get. A talking lizard in a spaghetti western that's also a comedy, and it worked.
And you have in an animated film, which you could call a kids film, although it's sort of not, because there's a point when he kind of just wanders off to commit suicide.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not spelled out until you really look at it. It's like, wow, he really did just wander off into the desert to just die.
And in a number of our, like when we originally talked about this film, I remember us repeatedly harping on the point of saying that most really great animated films are made for kids, but with more than enough allowances for the adults where everyone can enjoy it. This is the reverse of that, where it's a film that's actually made for adults, but there's more than enough allowances for the kids where they'll really like it too.
Well, they just see my problem with kids movies, and we saw a movie recently where I had a major problem with movies that are just loud and throwing the characters are loud, the music is loud, and the comedy is is loud as far as just being very broad. Yeah, and I hate that kind of humor in kids movies because it's shorthand, and to me, it's somebody who doesn't know how to write for kids. Just like it's the equivalent of somebody telling a kid an intelligent joke that they can understand and knowing that the kid is intelligent to laugh. That's Ringo. While most movies that we see for kids today is a guy looking at a kid thinking they're not smart enough and go like, it's
pretty much, yeah.
And Ringo, I admire it. I mean, there's a scene in the movie where the lead character was voiced by the lizard, that's voiced by
Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp. Not only is he going off into the desert to commit suicide, but he has this deep reflective moment. And it's like, even as an adult, I was like, fuck. That's deep.
I gotta tell you, the sequence in here with the Clint Eastwood analog that's voiced by
Timothy Olyphant.
That made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. It was
that's such a great moment.
Oh, it's such an amazing scene.
Well, let's not forget, even around that, there's the big revelation that this whole thing is based on the movie Chinatown.
Right.
It's like, God damn.
Yeah. Oh, it is. Yeah.
There's so much smart in jokes and just that movie is just layered as shit. And people a lot of people who should have been the ones to see it just blew it off because it was an animated film.
But it was very successful though.
Yeah, it
made money, and it's so many things that to combine everything, it could have easily been a mess, and they pulled it off, and it's an amazing animated film. I love it. The Skin I Live In, I don't understand why that wasn't nominated for best film. Oh, actually, I can, because it might have been just some way disturbing subject matter that the Academy Awards,
or somebody just forgot to submit it.
Well, Spain,
to mail it.
Because you know the actual answer. Because I was like, after seeing Bullhead, I don't think The Skin I Live In was too disturbing, but you know the reason why it wasn't.
Well, it wasn't submitted. It just wasn't their choice for being submitted.
Really?
Each country chooses a film to be the one to submit to the Oscars for the best Academy Award short nomination, and that was not the one that they picked. No. But I would like to say about that movie, and as far as Corey's relation to it, I don't see you having any internal dialogue about whether or not you'd fuck her.
Man, let me tell you something. Without spoiling anything, this film really does. Kinsey said that no one is completely gay and no one's completely straight, and you might walk into this movie saying, fuck that, man, I'm straight, I know what I'm talking about, and you'll walk out that movie like, well, maybe he had a point.
Okay, as if she wouldn't tell anybody.
Yeah, this movie makes you question. First of all, it's just a movie with so many twists in it, and it's one reveal after another, and it's a modern day Frankenstein movie. It's a science fiction movie with just no obvious science fiction in it, but and by the time they get to what's going on in this movie, I like it that it does make you question yourself, and I don't give a fuck how manly you are. You can walk out of there thinking,
See, all I know is after the act, the camera's going to pan away to that window from Ren and Stimpy, where there's going to be a cheerleader, a big horse, and you're going to hear that music. Dun, dun, dun. I hope nobody's watching us right now.
I'd say it is sci-fi. It just didn't have spaceships and stuff. It's like the Andromeda Strain or something. It's like, no, we don't have the technology to do actually what's in this movie, but it seems like we probably do.
Well, that's why I say there's no obvious sci-fi, because
it's very cleverly done.
Yeah, it's put in there enough to where you don't know enough about a certain subject where you will buy it, and you say, yeah, people can do that.
Seems reasonable.
Yeah, but and I was hoping they could. But no,
I spent the whole movie going, Antonio, Jesus, man, come on.
Corey's just already formulating his plan to kidnap Ryan Gosling.
Change him into no. But no, it's Pedro Almodovar, who I find some of his movies are just mean-spirited, and some of his movies are just I don't know. I'm not into every film he's into, but this was absolutely one of my favorite films. I walked out of there just satisfied. To me, I'd say it's like a Frankenstein movie, but it really reminded me a lot of Vertigo in a way.
Okay,
and
yeah.
If you watch Vertigo, because the music in this movie, I can almost promise you that Pedro Almodovar was influenced heavily by Vertigo. The music in this is very Hitchcock. The storyline that goes on
Bernard
there,
Herrmann, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It has a very deep theme of obsession, taken to, again, just balancing a bunch of other elements, the sci-fi element, the mystery element. This is a film noir movie too. It's very complex, and that's why I'm nominated. That's why I chose most of the movies I have on my list, because of their complexity. And this is definitely a very complex film. Finally, speaking of complex, I wish more people had enjoyed this movie, and I can't really say if the movie itself was good enough to have been on everybody's top 10 list, but I love Everything Must Go. I really support actors who go out and try to do something different. And Will Ferrell went to do something dramatic with this. And I thought he succeeded. I felt so bad for this character in this movie.
What I liked about this movie was that it felt to me like a really good throwback to the kind of indie movies that I used to see a lot of and don't anymore. And yeah, it's one of those times where you have a comedian, even a goofy comedian, who's good at pulling off drama that has a tinge of humor, but it's such a sharp, sad humor to it. Yeah, you do feel sorry for the character, and yet the situation is funny but depressing at the same time. It's a real back and forth on how you feel. At least how I felt. I kept going back and forth.
No, a lot of the things that you see this character do in the movie, he does himself, but you got to see the circumstances and the problem that he has. But it was just that I've been saying to myself for a long time, Will Ferrell, sit down and shut the fuck up. Enough is enough. And I like Will Ferrell.
I wish somebody would have said that during the awards.
But see, that's what I'm talking about. Nobody saw his movie and didn't take him seriously. Well, he's coming out in the Academy Awards banging tambourines and wearing a fucking white suit. And I'm just like, Symbols, whatever, man. I wasn't listening. I couldn't hear over that clattering sound. But you know what? He's a good actor. He really is. And I want people to recognize that just so he can do more. I think he's trying, and because nobody pays attention, he's scared to do it now. He goes back to what is safe for him. So, I'm the one that's going to say, hey, man, you keep doing your thing. Corey's going to be here to support you. go off and do that Shakespeare. Go do Death of a Salesman. You good.
Be in the next Batman.
That worked real well for Bill Murray early on in his career with The Razor's Edge, but okay.
Hey, you got to admit, though.
This movie translation.
He came back around eventually, but Will Ferrell's no Bill Murray.
And Everything Must Go is no Razor's Edge, man.
No, it's not.
Yeah, come on. True. But what is? Everything else everybody's kind of talked about. And if we didn't talk about it, it was talked about by everyone else. The Descendants, what can we say? It's a great movie. You've heard everybody talk about it. George Clooney was great in it. Rise of the Planet of the Apes is one I just think, that is the classic example of this was that was just a good movie.
Absolutely.
Regardless of genre,
movie.
whatever it is. And because it has apes going crazy, the Academy Award can't nominate it for anything but effects or sound or something technical. But that is, the performance of Andy Serkis as Caesar is about as touching as any live action or real character you're going to see this year.
And it's still sad that he's going to go unnoticed, because I don't know how many people were really like trying to get him somehow some kind of acknowledgement through the Oscars,
right?
Where he really should have. He needs to get something at some point.
It'll be like Lon Chaney,
just to give a thank you.
Later, he'll be celebrated.
When Lifetime Achievement Award or something.
When he's dead and they're giving awards away to people who do motion capture performances, they'll have like the special Andy Serkis Award. They'll have a statue of him in his mo capture suit.
Yeah, the poor son of a bitch will be dead, and they'll name a goddamn award after him.
Yeah, exactly. People will actually be getting awards for mo capture, but they'll be like, we'll always remember Andy Serkis.
Andy Serkis is going, you assholes.
Ping pong balls taped to his corpse.
Or he'll be dead, but they'll have a CG Andy Serkis come out and somebody mo-captured and present the award.
Someone is mo-capping Andy Serkis' CG image. That's perfect. I actually hope that happens.
I do too.
Awesome.
Y'all laughing, but you watching. I just predicted the future.
On the terms of what you said though about the Academy, just like genre film, whatever. You're right. That's such an old-fashioned attitude, considering really some of the most brilliant creators today in film, and certainly the way a lot of the big names get started, is all coming out of genre in one way or another, because now you can. There was a long point you couldn't. The studio's like, these things don't really make that much money, so except for every once in a while. Now they do.
Exactly.
And
that's their cash cows.
The thing about genre is that you can tell stories about the human condition that are much harder to do in a quote real life unquote film, because you can put people in these sort of impossible situations that they have to deal with, the philosophy of just existence in a way that you can't do.
No, that's true. And if you notice, we saw a montage of great moments in Hollywood history. What do we see? Jaws, Close Encounter, Star Wars, Raiders,
Twilight.
That just destroyed everything.
Why did you have to say that?
It was in there.
I don't know. I had forgotten about it.
That was a great movie.
That was definitely a WTF moment.
Wow, that's a great Hollywood moment. Hollywood.
Like, we're watching the Razzies right now. What's going on?
You're proud of that shit. Okay, fuck you. All right, but you know what? That was good. That was good going through all these lists right here.
Yeah.
I think I want to propose something. I like the way we took our time and went through this.
So you want to hold off on the worst stuff?
Yeah, because
till
the
later?
worst stuff is going to be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
we're gonna have
be
a lot
fun.
more fun tearing
Yeah,
shit.
I
apart.
think so.
Yeah. I might pull a Carlisle and go watch some bad movies just so I can get ready.
I was thinking that. I was like, wow, you know what? I still haven't seen Sucker Punch. And everyone tells me I can't make out this list until
That's
I do.
true.
I'll tell you what. I'll make a deal with you. If you watch Sucker Punch, I'll watch Bucky Larson.
Oh
You got
my
it.
god!
This is like a murder-suicide pact.
All right,
Everyone loses with
and I will loan both of you guys my copy of Human Centipede 2.
Oh, shit.
so you
No, I
will
ain't doing
really
that.
understand.
That is one I already know. I mean, I don't need to watch it.
I'll take it. Yeah.
No, you
I'll
really
take one for the
you
team.
don't want to do that.
I draw the line of torture, man. I'm being tortured enough. I don't need to see other people get it. But yeah, I tell you what, people, that is the best stuff. See, we
So
did
you got it.
See,
We
you
did.
got
There
it,
you
and we
So
spent a
shut up.
yeah, we spent a whole lot more time on
Yeah,
it.
but you did
this
do
is
the
for the
worst
two.
stuff.
This is for the two people who cared. Yes.
Yeah, no, but you know what? That just means we get to spend more time on the worst of. So I think coming next week, that's when we're going to bring
there
it
we
up.
go, next week.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to do it next week because after that, South by Southwest.
Oh,
yeah.
well then perfect. Yes.
Yeah.
So enjoy this. We did it. And just look forward to the worst of list coming up in a few days. Thanks everybody for listening. It has been a love. Enjoy this. We did it. And just look forward to the worst of list coming up in a few days. Thanks everybody for listening. It has been a lovely evening. Good night, everyone.
It has.
There goes Leon in his dress right there. Getting into his limousine.
Looking fabulous as ever.
I'm wearing Fiorucci.
There goes Cyrus in his FUBU.
Yeah.
Where's my goddamn gift bag?
And I'm wearing Oshkosh Bagosh.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen.